Hi everybody, I'm Michael. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the Fiddle Leaf Fig and how you can grow this wonderful tree in your home as a houseplant. So, you ready to dig in? Let's grow! This elegant tree is native to the rainforests of Central and Western Africa, and she's known for these giant fiddle or violin-shaped leaves. They're really cool and exotic looking. There's deeply etched veins in the leaves that are very striking to look at. Oh, so pretty. The leaves have a leathery feel to them, and the trunk of the tree is very barky, very textural, and it's a deep brown color, but it's a tree, and it makes a wonderful houseplant. You know, we haven't pinched or pruned ours yet, but I'm looking to pinch, and pinching means that you pinch the leaves at the top, right as it's starting to send out new growth, and that will encourage the tree to send out lateral branches. Well, ours is a single leader right now, but we may start branching her as she gets up. I'm 6'3.5", 6'4", and she's reaching my height now, so what we'll probably do is have her try to branch some more up here, because some people have them branching lower, and that gets almost too bushy unless you have a large room and you want to create that look. But you can pinch, notch, and prune this tree, and we'll do another video about that. So cool looking. It's just, and if you can get your hands on one and you have the room, we highly recommend you do that. We grow ours in a lechuza pot, which has a deep well in the basket below, so that there's a lot of soil so you can get her roots down in there. So we think that's helped ours add several feet in the 4 years we've had her. She does want higher light, and we'll go into plant care in a minute. But I just want to tell you that this plant is just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, because her leaves are so big, and so, you can see her other houseplants, they have medium and smaller sized leaves. This one, it catches your eye because she's just so dominant. So we have her as a focal point here at the end of our counter here, and just love her. She does collect dust. I've seen some dust, and I already wiped her down just the other day. And that's cool because plants will tend to be like a natural HEPA filter for your home. So it's a great thing that gives you a little bit of greenery. They bring oxygen to your home. They filter out plants in general, house plants in general, get rid of VOCs. And their leaves tend to be like a natural HEPA filter and catching airborne fuzz and dust and stuff. I just wiped her down, and she's already got a bunch more, which is cool. But you do need to know that, and we'll go into plant care on how to make sure you don't let your leaves get too dusty or dirty, because it's going to affect her ability to photosynthesize. But it's just a really cool tree. Highly recommend you get your hands on one if you can. And to speak more of her height indoors, more of her characteristics, her height, she can get to easily about 10 feet indoors if you have the room. And outdoors, this actually grows down here in South Florida, so she can get up to 25 feet or more. But she's more known for growing in a pot on a patio, but you can grow them down here in South Florida outside, which makes a really cool statement if you want to have a medium-sized tree. But the veins on the back side of the leaves are so cool because they're pronounced and they stick out. It's just, the way the light catches her during certain times of the day is just beautiful. Now, what will happen sometimes if she's not close to the window, and we'll go into plant care in a minute, is that the leaves will droop down like this. But that's kind of a normal thing we have found, in that when this leaf here is eventually going to turn yellow and fall off, that's normal. Usually what we found is that's a telltale sign that she's ready to start sending out new leaves at the top. So if we see a lower branch starting to get a little bit yellow, it's typically not a problem for you if you notice that on your plant. It could be just a sign that she's starting to bring up some new growth. And if you look here, you can see we've got a Hoya obovata that we propagated from Mama, put her in LECA, and she's wrapped all around our grow lights that we have for our fiddle leaf here and for some of the other plants, and she's already grown up and through her. So we love it because it kind of like, this makes like a jungle feel if you want to have that kind of look or that vibe for your home. We love this because these plants growing together are just so cool and interesting. I think it's just fascinating. And I can't believe how much this Hoya obovata, once you get a plant in the right location, That's the thing to note. Once you find that your plant's doing well in a certain, whatever plant it is, doing well in a certain area, try to keep it there if you can, because I had no idea that the Hoya obovata was gonna jump up and start doing this. I thought I was just propagating her, and I had a space available, and then all of a sudden she just took off. So now that's her home. So now that we've talked about plant characteristics, or the tree's characteristics, let's move into plant care. On plant care, first and foremost, let's talk about lighting. This tree will want high light. Typically high light in our channel, we go by U of F IFAS, and that's between 500 and 1,000 foot candles, but she wants a stronger high light. We like to recommend 800 foot candles to 1,100, which is actually very close to a west facing window. Again, ours is 12 feet away, so we've had grow lights to help encourage her growth. So she's not getting the ideal, but she's still put on over several feet of growth since we've had her, and it's so cool to see because the new growth will come out in these spurts. It's pretty amazing to watch. So on lighting, you want to give her high light, 800 to 1,100 foot candles, close to a west facing window if you can, or a south facing window. That would be great. Now you do want to be careful of catching that 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock sun that can scorch the leaves. But you can have, like, say you have vertical blinds, and you can turn them so much so that as the sun moves across, it kind of gives like a filtered light, where she gets a little bit of direct sunlight, but then as the sun moves, it's not just sitting on her for hours at a time, and she'll do pretty well. What you'll notice is if you're putting her too close to a window and she's getting too much light, her leaves, she's going to start to fade in color, get a little bit brownish, and it kind of will look like an old leaf ready to fall off. But you'll see that she's just looking peaked. So to keep this rich color, you want to make sure that you don't give her too much light. Now, if you want to have her stay the same size, you should probably pull her away from the window, because this is a tree. And some folks, you'll see on YouTube, many folks have some of these, and they're enormous and they're super cool, and that fits for when you have a very, very high ceiling or a very, very large space. But if you want to have something that's just sort of doing her thing over the years, you can throttle back that light between the 500 and 1,000 foot candles, which is what our cute little girl here is getting. Now that we talked about lighting, let's talk about watering. So she's from the tropical rainforest, so she wants to be watered more regularly. We recommend watering every 7 to 10 days, but as you go back to watering her to that marked time, check the soil to see if it's still damp. If it's still damp, don't water. Let it go another day or so. So you can check with a bamboo skewer and stick it into the soil, or you can take your finger and dig it down 2 inches and see if you're getting a lot of moisture and soil on your finger when you pull your finger out. Then you know, hey, I need to throttle back the watering. She's not too fussy on watering, we have found. You can use regular tap water that sat out for 24 hours, and she doesn't have any problem with the fluoride in the water. She just sort of keeps doing her thing. Now we do like a deeper grow pot for her, and I mentioned that earlier. And so now that we've talked about the watering, let's talk about the soil. So we like a custom soil mix. We like the Miracle Grow potting mix, but we like to use 60% of that, and then add 20% of worm castings, and then add 20% perlite to that to get this rich mix that's also well drained, and then add it in the grow pot when you're stepping up your plant, and she's going to do fine. She's going to love that. You can just use regular indoor potting mix, but we like to add the worm castings. We found that the plants really just start to take off when you give them a little bit more of those nutrients. And you can add a mycorrhizal. We've done that, and we're going to go into written plant care in a sec, and we'll encapsulate all that I've just said into a written format for you that you can take a screenshot and keep for yourself to use on caring for your fiddle leaf. Oh my goodness, she is just a dust magnet. I love it. So now the thing is that I'm just talking about plant care, but I keep looking at this neon pothos that we've been rooting, and now she's grabbed hold of the base, and I'm trying to think of, I've also got the fishbone cactus in there that I did a video, I don't know how many months ago on that plant, but of course I'm a beast, and I walked through the house and I broke a branch off the fishbone, and I just put the fishbone branch in here, and now that's rooted. So now I have this cognitive dissonance. What do I do on this plant? Do I keep the bright neon green with this leaf of the vine? I think I'm leaning more that way. Let me know your thoughts, because I think the neon pothos looks great, but there's also the very sculptural look of the fishbone cactus in there. And I'm like, wow, I wonder what that would look like growing all around. So right now I've got this thing where I'm trying to sort out what I'm gonna do. But going back to plant care, let's talk about temperature and humidity. She'll do fine in a typical home AC of humidity of 40 to 50%, no problem. You can increase the humidity if you want with adding a humidifier or putting some pebble tray nearby. But we didn't really need to do that. We just kind of like to group our plants together and they kind of build up humidity from that. But typical home AC, she's going to grow fine. And in temperatures between 60 and 85 degrees in a home, she's going to do great. No problem. You don't want to get her too cold if you're growing around on a patio. You don't want to get to a hard frost, because this is a tropical plant and she'll suffer. So for pests, you have a cast of evil characters, mealybugs, spider mites, aphids, scale, but we haven't had any issues whatsoever, and she's got Hoyas around her, and no mealybugs has ever found a home in her, thank goodness. And so that she has just put a smile on her face every time we see her walking in the home, and we highly recommend you get your hands on one. So what we're going to do now is, I think I covered most of the basics. We're going to rotate over into plant written care instructions, and then we'll come back and do a quick closing at the end. Thanks for stopping by. We hope this video was helpful to you. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments section below, and I'll make sure I get back to you. And from the beautiful Fiddle Leaf Fig and me, we'll see you in the next video. Bye. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And tell your friends and family. We post videos weekly. Thanks.